Well, sure. David, I think that the companion agenda for urban New Jersey has been what we're trying to do in education reform, first and foremost. I mean, you're not going to have a complete renewal of our urban centers until you have quality education being offered in every one of our urban centers for our children. Families are not going to want to willingly stay in our urban centers if they don't believe their children are going to be educated well, so that their future is limitless. And I think that's the key to our program for dealing with our cities. The fact is that the groundbreaking new contract we have with the teachers in Newark finally acknowledges that people should be paid based upon how they perform, not based upon just having their feet hit the floor in the morning when they get up. And if there's failure in schools and teachers have to bear some of that responsibility for that failure, they shouldn't be rewarded each and every year with more and more money that is totally disconnected from the idea of whether the children that they're teaching are achieving. And so, from my perspective, the most important thing we can do to help folks in our urban centers is to give their children the best possible education we can, because that's what lifts them up and gives them hope and optimism that their lives can be bigger, better, different than their parents. It's the same dream my parents had for me and my brother and my sister, and this is where I lived the first 5 years of my life. The fact is that my parents were lifelong Newarkers, and my grandparents were lifelong Newarkers. The fact is, back then, they believed that they could get an education that would give us the type of opportunity we needed to make our lives better. And it worked for my mom and my dad. They were convinced it wasn't going to work for me and my brother and sister, and so they left Newark reluctantly. Remember when my father and mother bought their house in Livingston, my mother said, your father has made me come to the wilderness. Someone who lived in Newark her whole life, she thought Livingston was the wilderness. But they went because they thought that's where I could get the best education, where my brother Todd could get the best education, and my sister Dawn. People who live in our urban center should have to make those choices. So that's the heart of our agenda along with this. And there's other things too, David, in terms of economic opportunity and the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've invested in the city of Newark in terms of creating jobs and opportunity with major companies coming and locating here in Newark, because the state has stood up to the plate and invested in Newark. Hundreds of millions of dollars through the Urban Transit Hub program and others that we continue to advocate for, because I believe in this city. And I believe in our other cities in the state as well. You know what we've invested in Camden as well and continue to do. So, I have absolute faith and confidence in the people in these cities if they're given an opportunity. We have to do better, and that's what we're trying to do.